One of the most common bits of advice when it comes to comic book critiques is the 180 rule. And the most common response to that is, what is the 180 rule? So here you go, all your dreams come true, the majestic 180 rule broke down. Hey, Walter here, and today we're dedicating this entire video to the 180 rule. So I and my buddy Ethan, who draws these amazing mecha on his Twitch stream, we do an art review critique every Wednesday from 3 p.m. to 5 p.m. Eastern on Twitch. And during these critiques, the 180 rule tends to come up a lot. So I wanted to make this video that we could direct everybody to finally get a full understanding of what the 180 rule is. So let's take a survey. How many of you know what the 180 rule is? Let me know in the comments below. So if you don't know what the 180 rule is, we're gonna figure it out right now. Once and for all, explain what the 180 rule is. Now, my buddy Ethan likes to simplify this down to basically whatever's on the left of the panel stays on the left, whatever's on the right of the panel stays on the right. Now, this is a super easy way to remember it, and all you really need to know to follow the 180 rule. But let's dig a little bit deeper and figure out why that's the case. Let's say we're doing a scene with two characters talking. First panel, we established that Spike is on the left and that Man Bun is on the right. Now we have a few panels of each character talking. Each character is staying on their respective sides. Perfect. But what if we switched it randomly, sometimes putting Spike on the right and Man Bun on the left? Now the characters are pretty distinct, but you might have to stop even just for a microsecond. But even that microsecond is enough to break the flow for the reader and take them out of the moment. This rule doesn't only apply to talking scenes. It could be action scenes, driving scenes, sleeping scenes, any kind of scene you want to think about the 180 rule. So why is it called the 180 rule? Well, it's a film term and it's all about the placement of the camera. Let's go back to our talking scene. Now, if this was a movie and not a comic book, the cameras would be placed like this to get those shots. Now, if we create an imaginary line that bisected our two characters, we can start to visualize the 180 rule. So let's draw a line out from the center to the two different cameras, and we can see some angles start to appear, probably like a 30-degree angle on both sides. Now, so a 180-degree angle is basically a half circle. So the 180 rule states that we don't want to go over 180 degrees. So what happens if we do exceed it? Like, what if we go over 180, go crazy and maybe do 220 degrees? This puts the camera on the other side of Spiky, and when we do this, this puts Man Bun on the other side of the panel. Now that we put Man Bun on the left instead of the right, we've started messing things up for the reader, because the reader's gonna be moving quick and they're gonna expect Man Bun to be on the right. And so everything on the left is Spike, and so they expect Spike, but then they see Man Bun and they have to process that. They have to think in their head, oh, this is Man Bun, and that microsecond is enough to break the flow. So now that we know the rule, how do we break it? Now there's a few reasons why we would want to break it. Remember, the 180 rule is to help with the flow and readability for the reader. But what if we want to disrupt the reader? Like, let's say we have a scene where a character is lost. Now, if we start flipping the 180 rule around, we could also make the reader feel like they're lost because they don't know what direction we're going. Or what if we wanted a scene to have an abrupt change? We could twist the camera that would give that sense of abruptness. Now, what if we wanted to break the 180 rule without disrupting the flow for the reader? There's a few things we can try to do. One would be like focusing on a completely different object in the scene. This gives the reader a chance to reorientate themselves to a new camera setup. The other thing we could do is like put a character dead center and then move the camera to the other side of our imaginary 180 line. Hopefully that made sense. Hopefully I didn't make it any worse. If there was something that was confusing to you, please let me know in the comments. If it helped, also please let me know in the comments to make sure that I am doing things correctly. Also, be sure to like, link, love, hug, and sub for more sweet, sweet goodness. Peace.